This thing is kind of cool. Hold on. Okay. So y'all, I just started using my little, you have a stand that moves with you with your phone while you're filming. I've never used it before. And so now it's like moving with me. And I think it's kind of funny. Like it's actually kind of cool. I've never used it before. Technology today, I tell you. What's up, everybody? Welcome to this afternoon's conversation. If you guys don't know already, my name is Samantha Lee, and I have a platform, blessed to have a platform on four different algorithms, if you will: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. I love doing what I do. I am a therapist full time, but I'm also a full time content creator, and so these days I create a lot of content that's spiritually based, it's spiritually led. And so and I would describe myself as like a fire starter or a firecracker. I'm a very, very passionate person by nature. And so God has literally put a fire underneath me to create content the way that I do. So welcome you guys to my channel. If you guys don't know already, I do have a new podcast episode out, More Than Just Pretty. So if you want to go over to the YouTube space, well, it's actually available on all audio platforms today, but it will be a video that will be released tomorrow on the More Than Just Pretty page. So if you have not yet subscribed to that page, please do. It's growing. Like I just noticed it's like 230 people already, or 240 people, something like that. I don't know. But anyway, it was already at a lot of, a good amount of subscribers, and I started this a couple weeks ago. So, especially in comparison to this page, it took me a minute to get to where I'm at. So anyway, guys, welcome to the show today. I am going to carry over from last night. Talked about three things, and okay, somebody asked me, will you be a guest on the Mark Perkins podcast in Barbados? If there's any requests as far as like booking and things like that, please go ahead and go to the, I just ran across this page. I had some questions. You can that just threw me off. You can just reach out to the Team Love Samantha Lee email, and we will review those booking requests if you guys are serious. So anyway, let's keep it going. So last night I talked about three things that are already evident on this live, if we're being honest. 3 reasons, 3 big ways that men are deceived in today's society. Okay, three main reasons. If you guys don't know already, I am a Christian content creator, so I'm going to be talking about the Bible. I'm going to be talking. This is what I feel like is wisdom. It's the way that I go about things, and so I live by it as such. And so yes, I want to make sure you guys are aware of that before I even get started, because some people do what they do, but I am very big about that. And so I'm going to go ahead and get started. We're going to have this conversation. If you don't want to hear about the Bible or anything like it, you might want to just tune out. But I definitely want to know. I definitely want you guys to be here. Do I have a moderator? Because y'all are wilding today. Y'all are really, you got to rebuke and bind devils up in here. Oh, Lord Jesus, be offense, God. Oh, gosh, Lord. But I'm just going to, yeah. All right, let's keep it going. So, oh my goodness, this thing is like moving with me. Anyway, so last night I had a live. You guys might have tuned in when I did the live, and that live was about 3 major ways that men are deceived today. Three major ways that men are deceived in the world today. Okay, there was three things we can point from scripture that still are relevant today. And that's 1 John 2:16, which is, for all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life. The lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life. Spent a lot of time on the lust of the flesh because, as you can see even on this live, men are extremely lustful. And it's not necessarily your fault. Lust is thrown in your direction. It's a deception of the enemy. They're literally trying to advertise Home Depot, sexualizing Home Depot, sexualizing hamburgers, okay, to go to Wendy's. Lust is being used in a major way, really, I believe, as an attack on men. Why do I think that there's a major attack on men? I said it a little bit yesterday. I'll say it again. I think that men were given dominion. And when men are not exercising their dominion, when they're not exercising self-control, when they're not exercising authority over themselves, it becomes a detriment to society. All right. We take the men out, we take society out. I believe that with all of my being. I think that men are extremely powerful. I think that men absolutely were born with dominion. And what the enemy does, was what I believe, is take away dominion. He takes away dominion and he makes it look like it's the right way to go. It's the way of freedom. It's the easiest path of resistance. But that is how you lose dominion. We've seen many men in our society that have seemingly all the power, all the money in the world. And unfortunately, due to the fact of these three things, they've lost it all. And so I want to take time. I have a very passionate personality. And as if you guys know me on any other platform, you know that I have brothers. And because of that, I have this big sister lion mentality that wants to advocate for men. And now this is not a popular message. This is not a message men want to hear. But I will say that you've been deceived. You have. And now we have a culture that is evidence of deception. Not only have men been deceived, I'm going to start with men, but women have absolutely been deceived. If you watch anything on my channel, you would know that I spent the last couple years honing in on women and where I feel like deception is. I haven't done it in a biblical sense. I will be doing that in the near future because I think women have been deceived. I also think that men have been deceived. But like I said, I plan on, in my own life, what I plan on doing in when I get married again is I plan on the order, divine order. God has really been dealing with me in these last couple of months. If you know anything about my podcast, in the last 3 months, God has brought me into a wilderness season. And he has really taken, I will tell you guys, it's been punches in the stomach, okay? But at first it felt like I was being broken, but now I realize I was being healed. And so I'm thankful for it because I have a completely different perspective than I did before. And even though I thought that I was ready for a lot of things before, I wasn't. My heart posture wasn't right. My mindset wasn't right. And God had to take me from all of those things to get me right. And so if you've seen my content, if you've seen anything that I've done, it's been a dramatic shift because of this enlightenment. And I take my platform seriously. I take what I do seriously. And so I feel like I should be responsible whether or not you guys like it or not. A lot of people come on here and they placate and pander to what men want to hear, what women want to hear. And I'm not going to do either one because I feel like then I'd be being irresponsible. So anyway, lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, the pride of life. I did not spend enough time on the pride of life. And that's something that I really want to hone in on a little bit more today, because I feel as though, based upon what we see in society, men are taught pride from a very young age, right? You're taught not to ask for help. You're taught to have it all together. You're taught to make things work on your own. That's what you're taught. You're taught to, if you need help, that's vulnerability or that's weakness, and you should be able to handle everything that comes at you on your own. And the reality is that's a lie. That's a lie. There's no manual to this life. There's not a manual to how we are supposed to move through this life or the things that you're going to go through in this life. And so our best example tends to be broken examples because they're examples from our childhood. And very few of us have had the ideal childhood. I know I haven't. I had parents that did the best that they could, but that wasn't ideal. And so that tends to be our example. And then we continue, if we choose, to demonstrate that in our lives. Right? But in my experience and what I've learned, and y'all, I might have to run over. I got to run over and see. My washing machine's broken, y'all. My washing machine's broken. And so I got to finagle this thing to make it work, y'all, to make it work. So it is what it is. But anyway, so that is, I feel like men, unfortunately, when it comes to pride, I think men get the short end of the stick, although I think women are walking in pride as well. I think men are taught to have pride. Like, you got to have it together. You got to always have your emotions in check. You've got to, have your money right, have this right, have that right. You can't be weak. You can't be vulnerable. Like, there's a lot of messaging that keeps men stagnant. And I think that that's, whether we realize it or can recognize it as that or not, that's pride. Pride is saying, I don't need help. I don't need God. I don't need nobody. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I got it. I got it. I got it. The reality is we don't. We don't. As a therapist, I see it so much. I brought up the statistics last night that men are 3.5 times more likely to unalive themselves. And that middle-aged men, which is, I think, the last time I seen it, it was like men in their 40s. Men in their 40s tend to unalive themselves at an alarming rate. Because again, there's no manual to this life. You'll see men that seemingly have it all, but are absolutely struggling on the inside. And so for me personally, I take this one because a lot of men are not, they might have gone through traumatic breakups, might have gone through traumatic firings at their job. They might have lost everything. There's a lot of things that men are struggling with that they are not talking about. And because of that, they wallow in silence, struggling. They might get into, y'all, and people understand this, I can't say the word on YouTube, right? So I'm going to say corn addiction. I've had a lot of men reach out to me about corn addiction. And when I say corn addiction, I mean PORN. But it's an addiction. They have an issue. They cannot, they literally cannot physically stop themselves from masturbating or watching this type of content. And so they're really struggling. I mean, it's not like people laugh about it, but it's a struggle. It's a fight. Men, it's a fight. It is a fight. It is a fight. It's a fight. It's a fight for your soul. It's a fight for your family. It's a fight for legacy. Everything is telling you to not commit, to not do this. Everything that can destroy you is what you're being encouraged to do. And then you wear it like a badge of honor as if this is the way to go. Lacking discipline, lacking commitment in any area is a weakness. And yet we celebrate it in the areas of relationships, which I argue is the most important area that we have, is relationships. Who we decide to engage with. Who do we decide to be friends with? Who do we decide to be close to? Those things are super important. And when we're moving in pride, when we're moving in lust of the flesh or lust of the eyes, we're blinded. We're unable to see clearly. And because of that, you find a lot of men that write me and write other women as well, or other people as well. They're lost. And you don't have to admit it here on this live. I don't want you to. But what I do want you guys to do is really take into account whether or not you're struggling with this. And it's not for me to know, although I do have coaching available if you guys decide you do want to work with me. But this is really for me to tell you to run back to your creator. The first step in any problem is admitting you have one. And that seems to be the hardest thing for men to do, is to admit they actually do struggle in certain areas. And again, that's because our world has made it very hard for you to feel like a man and have a weakness. So here are some things I'm gonna, y'all, let me, I'll be right back. Let me turn off this washer machine because like I said, the control panels, they still haven't gotten it. Hold on. Lord have mercy, Jesus. All right. My apologies, family. I've been asking for them to do this thing for like a minute and, you know, it is what it is. So let's keep it going. Lust of the flesh, pride of life. So I'm going to go over all of them and then I'm going to go directly to pride and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. And guys, let me just be very honest with you guys. If I could just be very clear. I felt like even when I did this topic, I felt like men should cover this more, especially men in faith. I feel like we should see more men in faith. I think a lot of guys that we see in our culture, they sit down with women that may not be as well versed in the Bible to talk about like challenging the Bible and what the Bible says and what it means when they write certain things. They sit down with women that may say they're Christians, but they're not like theologians or people that are very aware of what the Bible says. I think it'd be better suited to have conversations like with men of faith that can actually lead you somewhere. I think that a lot of men that want to stay in lust and justify polygamous relationships and say the Bible says that you should have them, or the Bible encourages polygamous relationships, like God has ordained those types of relationships. That's not according to the Bible. Again, I can't speak for other religions, but that's not a biblical thing. Okay, God created Adam and Eve. He also talks about in the New Testament how he two become one flesh, Matthew 19:6. He talks about even in Deuteronomy, the code for kings was for men to not, actually kings to not have multiple wives, and that we excuse, David and Solomon had a lot of wives, and we look at that as like, oh, that's God saying it's okay. No, they actually, Solomon and David, the only reason why he kept his kingdom and his family was because he repented. Solomon, unfortunately, he did not in his time or in that chapter. And so therefore he lost his kingdom. It did not stay within that family, okay? Because of the fact that he took wives, he took many, many wives. We all know that. And he ended up, the wives that he took, which he wasn't supposed to, if you read Deuteronomy, he ended up getting lost in the worship of their gods. They were foreign women that had foreign gods. And he intermingled, intermarried, and he ended up losing his kingdom because of it. Okay, so that ends up being actually a detriment to him. So a lot of people utilize David and Solomon as like, oh, this is God saying it's okay to have polygamous or many different wives, and that's not true. That's absolutely false. God created Adam and Eve. If God wanted Adam to have multiple wives or felt like it was necessary for a man to have multiple lives, he would have done it in the garden. He would have created Eve, Evisha, Ashley, Eden. He would have created multiple. He created one. So the Bible talks about that, and it talks about men having discipline. Unfortunately, in today's world, we're not teaching men discipline. We're teaching men to run with their lust. Get your money up and sleep with as many women as possible and find loopholes to justify your inability to control yourself. That is not biblical. That is worldly. Now, if you want to move that way, move in it in the way of knowing that it's because you're undisciplined. Just know that. You want to find loopholes to justify aspects of yourself that aren't ideal. Cool. But that's not accountability. That's weakness. If I tell you guys, and we talk about this with women all the time, I've talked about women being more accountable or holding themselves more accountable. Men are like, women need to be accountable. Be accountable. It's like, okay, right, you're right. They should be. And I feel like women should be more accountable. Like, that's how you grow. Right? But in that same breath, I wish I would see more men being accountable too, instead of trying to find an excuse to continue doing what they want to do. Like women, when they do it, it's like, oh, you lack accountability. But what about you? The Bible talks about how you can look at the stick in somebody else's eye, but what about the plank in your own? All right. So in my opinion, God created man and women. He created them in the garden. He didn't create Adam with a bunch of women. When it talks about marriage in the Old Testament, it talks about man and woman over and over again. But we mistake God's tolerance for God's permission. God did not give those permissions. In fact, in Deuteronomy, it talks about the code for kings. So I want to make sure that we're clear about that. Okay? So back to what we're saying. Lust of the flesh is the craving for sensual or physical pleasure. It's when your body wants something, sex, food, substances, and comfort, and you choose it instead of what God says is holy. It is pleasure at the expense of obedience. When we see that with porn addiction, casual sex culture, gluttony, unchecked impulses, and escapism, disobedience is costly. But on the front end, living a life that is undisciplined is easy. But on the back end, you pay dividends. Men have lost their lives, lost their jobs, lost their families, have lost their peace of mind, all at the hands of lust. We see that today in the news. Somebody said something about, oh, what year is it? Well, look at the news. Are there not men that have amassed fortune over and over again? I don't care what culture it is. Amass huge fortunes, but have lost it all in the name of lust. We see it over and over again. Men losing their life. I just saw a story of a man losing his life due to lust. He got shot, messing with the wrong woman. I've seen men lose their careers messing with the wrong woman, allowing their lust to drive the car. It's serious. It's very serious. Because I don't care how many times you watch porn. I don't care how many women you decide to sleep with. It will never, ever be enough because it was never meant to fulfill you. They're broken cisterns. What does that mean? They're man-made wells that leak. And because they leak, it will never be enough. Just like I don't care how much money you make, it will never be enough. I don't care how many women you sleep with, it will never be enough. That's how men find themselves in 12-step programs trying to get out of sexual addiction. This is real. It's not a game. Y'all think it's funny, but it's not funny. Lust ruins lives. It does. And a lot of men that struggle with lust are very lonely. Look it up. They struggle with loneliness. Because I don't care how many women you sleep with, you're not connecting with them. You can sleep with 87 women in a month. Part of your soul is missing. And you're not fulfilled. Because I don't care who we are. I don't care what we do. All of us want genuine connections with people. We do. I know I do. We all want a genuine connection with another human being that can handle us, that we can feel safe with. We desire that on a deep level. We were created with that need. And instead of playing big bad wolf, like, I don't need no woman, forget that. I'm gonna just go out here. If you can't go a weekend without seeing a woman, entertaining a woman, then you need women. Now, you might be in denial if you want to be. But you want to be with a woman, but you're running away from responsibility. That's not strength. That's not strength, that's weakness. Running away from responsibility is weakness. Justifying your weakness is weakness. Finding loopholes to create categories of relationships that have never existed is a weakness. You can get better in that area, though. It's not the end of the world. Like, I know that there's, for example, I know for me, y'all, I love food. I love food. I've struggled with eating issues most of my 20s. Definitely have struggled. Still struggle. You know, I'm praying that spirit off of me. I'm praying that spirit off of me. But with that being said, if I just say I'm not going to work out, I'm not going to try, I'm just going to be undisciplined, I'm not going to be committed to any type of program, I'm just going to eat whatever and do whatever and then complain about it later, that's weakness. I am then allowing something to run me that I should have dominion over. And if I don't have dominion over it, I need to work towards it. I don't need to justify it. I don't need to tell you why I do it. I don't need to give you reasons and categories as to why I'm in this. Oh, I'm big boned or I'm this, or I don't need to do that. What I need to do is figure it out. I need to handle it before it handles me. Because just like sexual addiction is costly, food addiction is costly. Discipline is key. Discipline is key. And again, men have lost their families, lost their jobs, lost their peace of mind, lost their lives, lost their freedom at the hands of lust. If you don't learn how to manage it, it will manage you. It will. And I suggest you guys learn now. Learn now while you're out here. I said this example last night. We don't wait until we're in the game to learn how to play the game. We don't wait until we're in the game to play the game. What we do is that we start practicing now. We start learning how to have dominion over ourselves now. I'm learning at this point, I'm having dominion over me. And that's in all areas, not just physically. I mean, in all areas, I'm learning how to have dominion over me. I need the help with the Holy Spirit. I can't do it without God. But I'm learning how to have dominion over myself. Why is that? Because I got to learn now while the stakes are low. While nothing is riding on me, nothing is dependent on me. A lot of guys wait to get into the relationship or get into the marriage to learn how to be faithful. A lot of men are waiting until they get into the relationship or get into the marriage before they learn how to manage that corn addiction. No, handle it now. No one's, while this, you think men that play professional sports or do any type boxing, anything like that, they wait till the actual boxing match or wait till the basketball game or wait till the football game for them to start practicing? No, you start practicing now. You start having dominion now. You start telling your body no now. Because a lot of you guys are sleeping with women y'all don't even like. When she comes over, you're like, oh, Lord, here she go. I don't even like her. Why she breathe like that? Why she talk like that? Oh, gosh, let's just get this over with. Y'all don't even like these women. Y'all just dealing with them because you haven't learned how to manage you on your own without women. If women are your weakness, stop talking bad about them. Because they're your kryptonite. As horrible as you want to paint them out to be, you're controlled by them. That's why it's important for you to have dominion over you. Because whatever you refuse to have dominion over has dominion over you. If your issue is your lust or women, that has dominion over you. You need to have dominion over you. You're a king. You're a royal priesthood. You're a mighty warrior. When God created man, he says you have dominion. You have dominion over everything. Everything moving, you have dominion over. And men at this point, y'all, the enemy has run amok because of social media, because of what we have access to, the easiest ways that we have access to it. It's like, it's just opening up the doors, just right in your face. Hey, lust. It's just right in your face. I hate that. I hate it so much because I'm seeing men ride down the slippery slope, going through life, and they're sabotaging themselves. They want connection. They want relationship. They want to move in an integral way, but lust is being thrown at them everywhere they go. I hate that. I hate that. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it because I see it. I hate it because I see it. I see what's happening. I see the attack on men. It's been revealed to me in my private time with God. Like how deep it goes. Y'all can attack me if y'all want to. I don't care. I'm not here for y'all. I am here for y'all, but I'm not here to perform. I'm here to tell the truth. And I called up a lot of men and I was like, y'all, we need to do something. This is happening. And I care. I care a lot. Probably care more than I should, honestly. Because whatever you decide to do really is up to you. But I do see the attack on men. I do see how the enemy is attacking men. And one of the main areas, in my opinion, is the lust of the flesh. And discouraging commitment, discouraging having real relationships with women. Like having these superficial relationships with women that are making men feel more lonely than they've ever felt. Because there is a bone of your bone, flesh of your flesh woman out there. There's a woman that's created for you. That as we are in this time, like just like there's a man that's created for me. And in this time, it's about becoming. In this time, it's about being intentional and not allowing these women that you're meeting in the wilderness to keep you from your promised land. Because God is not going to send you your gift if you're still moving around irresponsible, not having dominion over what he's called you to have dominion over, which is yourself. I've met so many strong men that have like so much discipline. But when it comes to women, because of the excuses that society gives us, for women and for men, they stay entrapped. They stay in bondage. They get that good thing and they lose it. They squander it. God has somebody for you. And because we're over here playing in casual sex culture, which is not good for you, it's not good for women. It's not good for either one. Yes, you're meeting the needs of your flesh, but you're not meeting any other need that you have. There's no other need that's met. Only flesh. And that's about for 15 minutes. And then we're on to the next one. It's a broken cistern that cannot hold water. I think men should be just as choosy as women. In fact, I think men should be more choosy than women. about who they allow access to. The more you have, the more you should be choosy. You shouldn't just be exercising your options because you have them. Because if a woman came on here and says she's exercising her options because she has them, everybody will be looking at her like she's crazy. But when men do it, we overhear and we applaud them for lacking self-control. We applaud them for having a bunch of broken homes. We applaud them for lacking the ability to self-control or to be responsible. If you're going to be responsible in irresponsibility. We applaud that type of behavior. No, that's irresponsible. That's weakness. Get it together. Get stronger. Get disciplined. Lock in. Stop listening to broken people. I hear men all the time talking about, just stay away from women. Just stay away from them. Just sleep with them all day and just stay away from them. These men are fully married, have full-on families, telling men not to have families, telling men not to have relationships that are significant while you're fully married and you're walking in favor because of it. Because in the Bible, it says a man who is married, a man who decides to have a wife obtains favor from the Lord. Let's be real. Look at the statistics online. Men that are married make more money than men that are single. Men that are married get more business deals. Men that are married have longer life expectancy. Men that are married have less health issues, mental health issues. It's good for a man to be married. Why do you think the culture is pushing for men to not be married? Oh my gosh, it's scary. It's this, it's that. No, it's good for you. Why do you think a world would want you to not do it? Instead, guess what they do? They put this whole rhetoric, which one day I'm going to really break down anyway, but put out a rhetoric to you guys that is actually not good for you. It's actually worse for you than the alternative option. Because being single, let me look at it. Let's look at the facts. Improve physical and mental health, increase financial security, enhance well-being. Studies show that men that are married tend to live longer, have lower rates of depression, and enjoy overall better health compared to their single counterparts. They make more money. That's just statistics. You could just look that up. Well-being and happiness, the companionship, the emotional support, and shared experiences, which enhances a man's sense of purpose, meaning overall happiness. Stronger social connections, improve decision-making, and reduce risk-taking behaviors. They're less likely to engage in risky behaviors such as excessive alcohol consumption or substance abuse compared to single men. There's another statistics. This is ifstudies.org says more financially secure, happier, and less prone to succumbing to the deaths of this despair. So yeah, statistics show outside of, what do they call it? There's a word that they call it. What's that word? I can't think of the word, but anyway, there's times where studies have been done, research has been done. We're not even looking at research anymore, y'all. We're looking at what people tell us on the internet, and then we run with it, and then we make decisions based upon that. Like, yeah, I've been hurt in marriage. Other people have obviously been hurt in marriage as well. And y'all, I'm going to be honest with you, it's been a journey to get back to a place where I desire that again. And I think it's been an act of God, honestly. But I also understand the benefit to it. I understand the covenant behind it. I understand God's heart behind it in a way that I haven't before. And it's taken me being off of social media. It's taken me being in isolation and in private time with him for me to have the desire to do that again, for me to want to be in that position again, because you are in a vulnerable position. But there are so many benefits to it, you know, that it brought me to this place. I'm gonna be honest with you. Just it's the truth. It's the truth. And so now I have, in this time, God has really been, y'all, if I'm being honest, beating me up because of bad habits I had, thoughts I had, mindsets I've had. You know, he had to break me out of all of that. And y'all, let me tell you, there's been days like the first month of this process with God, I feel like I was crying every day, literally. Because there's just so much that was wrong with me, if I'm being honest. There's so much that I was like holding on to try to protect me that wouldn't be suitable in any facet of my life, let alone a marriage, right? Like I had to really go through a process with God, and I'm thankful for it. I'm thankful for it. So anyway, I say all this to say, guys, stop. Don't run with like what society's telling you, because what society's telling you is actually what men are struggling with today is worse than it's ever been. It's worse than it's ever been. Literally. And I know I attribute it to the way that we're doing relationships today. And that's men and women. Because I'm not saying women doing relationships right either. Let's be very clear. I'm coming for them next week. But I know it starts with the head. And you guys are the head. You have been given dominion. I believe in divine order. I believe a woman submits to a man and a man submits to God. But guys, if you are not exercising dominion over yourself, how can a woman be led by you? If you can't control yourself, if you're finding excuses for weaknesses versus getting better, how can a woman honestly submit to your authority? You don't even have authority over you. That would be a risk. A real risk. I've met a lot of men and they have dominion over themselves. They have dominion over it in their relationships. And they are far happier than some of the men that I meet that are over here moving around. I had a conversation with a guy the other day. Or kind of. It's a conversation somebody else had. And they were telling me about it. But besides the point. I was having this conversation or hearing about this conversation. And the man that was saying that he would want a relationship would absolutely surprise y'all. Who wants to get married would absolutely shock you guys. Probably one of the main people that we see in today's culture moving around a certain way. But that person wants to be married. And I'm like, you have to have dominion over you. If not, you're going to sabotage another relationship. But even the men that are moving this way, they're getting away with it. They got women coming in, seeing them all the time. They doing it. They want to get married. They want to get married. They want a counterpart. But the problem is, or the issue is that most men, they settle in wildernesses. What happens is, y'all, this happens to women too. We get really comfortable with a woman in a wilderness, right? A woman that you don't really like, but you're comfortable with her. And because men like comfort, you were built that way. That's divine. You were built that way to like comfort. Okay? We all like comfort. You get comfortable with this woman, she around you. You don't have to do as much. You don't have to change as much. You can just be you and she's around and you can get away with all. Yes, that's great and fine and dandy, but that's not where you grow. That's not where you reach purpose. In fact, you living that way takes you out of purpose. What does that mean? When you make decisions, and if you're a man that is in a relationship with God, when you make decisions that go against what you know God is telling you to do, you do reap those consequences. There are places you will not reach. There are goals you will not see because you are not following what God is calling you to do. He can't trust you with that level until you start submitting to his authority. I've learned that. I've learned that. I've learned that you reap what you sow in this life. That's law. I've learned that when you say, hey, listen, I'm not going to do what God told me to do or what I feel like God is calling me to do. Okay, when you get in the bind next time and you start asking everybody for prayer, remember the decisions you made after this live. Because that's what everybody does. They get into a situation and then they call on God. God, help me. Everybody pray for me. I'm going through this thing and blah, 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 blah. Like, y'all pray for me. Yeah, we want to pray then. But when God's asking you to do things right now, when he's asking you to make sacrifices right now, when he's asking you to take dominion right now, you're like, no, I don't want to do it. I want to do me. Okay, well, remember that when you ask God the next time, are you praying for that job? Are you praying for that promotion? You praying for that healing? You praying for that woman? You praying for your child? Remember that then. Remember those things then. Because we want God to deliver us, but we don't want God to direct us. We don't. And the reality of the day, Shorty, I'm not against prenups. I actually don't have a problem with prenup. If that's what you feel like you need to do it. I do think that Paul in the Old New Testament talks about if a man is going to be with women, he needs to be married to her. Otherwise, you allow darkness to enter in. But again, that's Bible. So let's get into the pride of life. Because we talked about lust of the eyes last night, which again, lust of the eyes is a desire to have what you see. It's rooted in envy, materialism, and comparison. It's not about wanting what looks good, even if it's about wanting what looks good, even if it's not from God. The examples of today is scrolling social media excessively, chasing the baddest women, idolizing wealth, and comparing your lifestyle to others. Men that are exposed to hypersexualized images on social media report decreased satisfaction with their partners. Men, one of the things that I will say is that stop following certain accounts. Take dominion. That's how you start. Take dominion. Take dominion over what you're allowing yourself to see, what you're allowing yourself to hear. Take dominion. You watching these images are not going to help you in conquering lust. It says the average man spends over 2 hours a day on social media, which, y'all, if you don't know, if this is the first time you heard this, spending any more than 2 hours on social media contributes to all types of health issues, not just mental, physical health issues. So limiting your time on social media really does help your mental clarity, focus, depression rates, anxiety. It just helps tremendously, right? I've done it personally for myself, and it's been amazing. It's been absolutely amazing. I know for me, as far as like my clarity. It also says 91% of men say that advertising influences their desire. Visual lust and shaping behavior. So the last one is the pride of life. I talked about this, one of the biggest things. And the obsession with status, success, and self-glory. It's the belief that I've got this without God. We were made in the image of God, but we are not gods. And with that being said, there is only one God. And I believe he's brought me on here to say what I'm here saying. For those who are being abusive in the chat, you'll get yours. You'll get it. It'll happen. I pray for you, though. And I pray that God has mercy on you. But I trust God. And I believe he's given me a message, and he's given me passion about this message. Because this needs to be said. I wish it was a man saying this. I wish it was somebody else, not me, because I'm a woman. I don't know how effective it is for a woman to tell you guys about this. I don't know if this helps you, but I'm trusting God that whoever it reaches, it reaches. But the pride of life, the idea that you've got it on your own, that you don't need anybody's help, that you don't need God. You are God. God is a really good way of knocking people down because he's a just God and he's a powerful God. He's all powerful. Those who say the worst things exalt themselves the most. You will meet your maker. That's a guarantee. You can look at stories online if you want to. People that have passed away for 10, 20 minutes, an hour. And they'll tell you, you meet your maker. You will. And we don't know when that day is. We live like we're going to live forever. But the reality is we all have an expiration date. All of us. And you can live with the way you want to live. But we all have a time. Single men are not happier. That's actually not a statistical fact. I wish I knew the other word. There's another word that when I was in school, I'm trying to think of the word, man. I cannot think of it to save my life. There's different types of studies. And some people only use like, oh, they experienced something or their homeboy experienced it or their homegirl experienced it. Like, let's say a woman is around a man and he cheats on her. Well, all men are cheaters. All men are cheaters. No, you just got cheated on. All men are dogs. They ain't good for nothing. No, the men you dealt with are dogs and good for nothing. You can't say that everybody's like that just because you had a bad experience. That would be inaccurate. And statistically speaking, it's not evidence-based. Anecdotal. Thank you, lunchtime. Anecdotal. Thank you so much. That was driving me crazy. It's called anecdotal research, where you take a story that you have encountered and then you make it everybody. It's not everybody, it's your experience. So, single men are not happier. That is not a statistical fact. And you out here promoting it, you reap what you sow, my brother. You will reap what you sow. So, anecdotal evidence where you've had a bad experience. You say everybody's like this. All women are like this. All men are like this. Oh, it's always like that. Or relationships are like that. We've had bad experiences. I have had bad experiences. I have had bad experiences, family. Bad experiences. I've had terrible experiences. But I'm still on here talking to men. I've been assaulted by men. I've been abused by men. I have experienced a lot by the hands of men. But I'm still here talking to men. Why? Because not all men are like that. I know that. I know that I've had bad experiences and I can separate a bad experience from every man being bad. Because that's not true. It's just not fair. It's not true. I've been cheated on, lied to. I've gone through the ringer. But I know that those first of all, those were hurt people. Because anybody that, grapes women or anything, hurt people, obviously. Or put their hands on women, whatever. They're hurt people. That doesn't mean that every man is like that. And I know that. That's why I'm here. Otherwise, I'd just be talking to women and perpetuating this narrative that all men are bad and all men are evil. That's not true. I know that not to be true. Pride is a performance-based identity. It's where your worth is defined by your image, income, titles, or applause. meaning that the way you see yourself is based upon what you've accomplished. Not who you are, not how God sees you, but what you've been able to do for you. The modern examples of this is chasing validation, refusing correction, needing to be right, hiding weakness, not seeking help or accountability, and measuring manhood by money or women. That is pride. That's the pride of life. We're measuring ourselves by what we've been able to do. And it's a broken cistern. I can't hold water. Pride is the most dangerous sin in the Bible. There's over 100 verses, roughly 100 verses that address the sin of pride. It is the one sin that got the enemy kicked out of heaven because of pride. He wanted God's position. He wanted to be God. And because of that, he ganged up a bunch of angels to try to go against God or to create his own kingdom within a kingdom. And God kicked him out. It was the sin of pride. And so when men, unfortunately, men have been taught to move in pride. I've seen it. Like I said, I'm the only sister. I have two brothers. I was raised with my male cousins. I'm the only female. I've seen how is that man up, pride. You've been taught that. And that's dangerous. Because then every man is going to have a point where he needs help. Every man in their life is going to need a helpmate. Every man is going to have a moment where he's not the strongest individual in the room. And he's going to need a space to be able to do that. And if he's unwilling because he's been taught these disastrous ways of suppressing your emotions and going at it anyway, you're going to struggle. Again, that's why the rates are the way that they are, where men are going to escapism like video games, because video games can be an addiction too. Corn addiction, sex addiction, drugs addiction, substance abuse. Like I've seen so many men that they have so much, but they're running into addictions, and I know why. They can't be weak. They have to keep going. They have to keep. So they find a way to escape it somehow, some way. And they find dopamine. Because let me tell you, video games is like a dopamine hit. Every level, every time you conquer a new level, every time you connect to you get the code, get to the next level. Whew, I got that. Next level. And it's not a bad thing. Men are productive. They're conquerors. That's how you were created. That's part of your magic. But it's it. If that's where you're getting your fulfillment from, it's an empty cistern. Somebody said men are taught that we have to earn our value. I agree with that, Dave. I agree. So pride goes before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall. Proverbs 16:18. Better to be of a humble spirit with the lowly than to divide the spoil with the proud. Proverbs 16:19. The enemy himself was cast out of heaven because of pride. When you walk in pride, certain things you do is that you stop listening. You isolate, super defensive. You overestimate your strength. You delay healing and your growth. You push people away who love you. You become unteachable, uncoachable, and you eventually will fall, and often alone. Met a lot of men. My mom she works with people in the end of their lives, and there'll be a lot of men that might have amassed a lot of wealth, but they're calling her in at the end of their life to hold their hand as they take their last breaths on earth. Because the choices that they made when they had choices were to isolate, get caught up in what they have, and not realize that one day it won't matter. So she would go in, and a lot of times it's men. A lot of times it's men. At the end of their life, they're alone. Men that made it about money, cars, and clothes, success on this hamster wheel. And the sad part about it, y'all, is we don't know our expiration date. None of us do. That's why it's important to make certain choices today for legacy, commitment, because our society needs it. All this casual stuff is actually destroying our culture. I believe that. Being non-committal, lacking discipline, that's a detriment to our society. Men lacking the ability to have dominion over themselves. And like I said, next week I'm coming for women too. Us teaching this dangerous rhetoric that we shouldn't have control, we shouldn't be committed, we should just run around, be all in everybody's face, not really commit, not really be vulnerable, just pass it along. We're feeding each other's narrative. We're feeding this cycle. Well, men are doing this, and well, women are doing that. Well, men are doing this, and we're just feeding off of each other, and we're complaining about the same problem. There's not many men that I don't meet in coaching sessions that are talking about how terrible the dating pool is, and then there's women that I'm meeting, and then maybe men with money, men with access. Men are like, oh, well, I can't trust nobody. I can't be vulnerable. I don't know what they're really here for. It's like this both sides feeling like they can't trust the other party. Both sides feeling like I've got to have this superficial relationship because I'm afraid to be vulnerable. Both sides are moving in fear. Both sides are eliminating themselves. Both sides are lonely. And even if you become rich, if it's about being rich, you'll still be empty. I guarantee you that. I know a lot of rich men. Only a few of them are fulfilled. Only a few. Because the rich are just trying to get richer. It's a hamster wheel that you don't get off of. For every person that's on this live, whether you're saying negative things or lustful things or whatever the case may be, I do pray that this message reaches you. And now that you hear it, you're responsible. Whether you said negative things or positive things, you reap what you sow in this life. That's law. And I trust my God to be my vindicator. But I'm going to be responsible. I'm going to be obedient, even if it's not what's popular. Even this is not what you want to hear. You want to hear people tell you a bunch of lies to keep you stuck and stagnant. I'm not going to do that. We have enough people doing that. Men are 3.5 times more likely to die by unaliving themselves than women. And pride keeps many from seeking therapy, brotherhood, or support. Over 60% of men feel pressure to man up and handle life without help. But this self-reliance is leading to burnout, addictions, and breakdowns. Pride convinces men to perform rather than heal. Pride convinces men to perform rather than heal. So you see a lot of men throwing themselves into work, throwing themselves into being productive versus healing and getting a therapist. There's nothing wrong with getting a therapist. Nothing wrong with talking with somebody. There is statistical evidence to prove that just talking with someone, just releasing to somebody that has the ability to guide you, has the ability to lead, to help with those emotions. Sometimes we're talking to people that are not trained, nor are they skilled in the ability to really lead you anywhere meaningful. Talking to your homeboy, he can't handle what happened. He can't handle what you've been through and what you're going through now. He don't have that ability. Talking to somebody, if you're a Christian man, talking to a strong Christian man that has the ability to handle We're talking to people that can't help, they can't lead you out of a paper bag. It's not healing. Iron sharpens iron. Iron sharpens iron. The enemy uses pride to disconnect men from grace, brotherhood, accountability, and the voice of God. Final word for the men. Enemy hasn't changed the weapons, just the platforms. What once came through the street now comes through the screen. What once had to be sought out now seeks you out. But God has equipped you to overcome it. He has. Resist the devil and he will flee from you. James 4:7. Walk in the spirit and you shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. Galatians 5:16. You guys have the ability to have dominion. You were given dominion in the garden. You were given dominion in the garden. I want you guys to exercise your dominion, your power, your authority, not over the things that you encounter, but over you. If you can't control you, then you can't really want somebody to be controlled by you. That never ends good. We reap what we sow in this life. That's law. And so, guys, I pray that this message reaches who it reaches and needs to reach. Because ultimately, guys, I see the deception. 1 John 2:16, I see it. And I want y'all to want better for yourselves. Don't be run by the lust of your flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life. I don't care what they tell you. It's not a good way to live. I know it looks good on social media, but a lot of people end up being miserable in beautiful places. So, anyway, guys, I love y'all. Every one of you guys, even the people that are mean to me or want to say negative things or want to just be on here, I love each and every one of you guys. I hope y'all have an amazing, amazing, amazing day. I think you guys are incredible. I think you're more than conquerors. I think you can do whatever you decide to put your mind to. I think every single person on here is a king. And then you have dominion. And God has something very, very, very special for each and every one of you guys if you decide to walk that path. All right? I love y'all so much. Have a great day. I will see you guys next week for our live. Have a good night, y'all. Or a good day and night.